afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast Addendum, covering here the upcoming patch, heading here late February I think 25th. And, well, it's not quite as big as we would hope for in some senses. Essentially, there are some smaller changes to the Brits, a bit to the Wehrmacht, slightly to the Americans. I don't think the Oberkommandowist actually gets anything, neither does the Soviets. There's some bulletin changes. Abandoned now basically means if the vehicle gets abandoned, forced it is by sort of fire and so on, basically will suffer some kind of engine critical, either completely sort of heavy critical or just regular engine critical. Either way, it won't be able to be quickly picked up and zoomed away. So that's a slight change there already. The whole turning about with facing and such in vehicles have been changed a bit. Certain things will actually force it now to sort of, change facing, for example, so it won't, just back into it. Plus the range where it will do so has been slightly sort of lessened. So overall, that should hopefully just a bit make things a bit more sensible. They have basic stuff like attack moving groups of vehicles and so on. They will ensure they actually first choose where they'll go before going there. So a little detail there already. Some of the smaller changes there. Some bulletins have been changed for sort of things that weren't quite as functional. So that should add a bit to the game set there. Though I don't think it's going to make the bulletins a lot more useful. Let's just put it like that. Then for the actual balance changes, British artillery cover there, for example, gets a bit nerfed. It can't disable the engines like that, and won't do as much their damage to sort of what gunners can do. So it won't be sort of that many criticals. So that should help just a bit there. Not a lot, but just sufficiently a bit to perhaps make a bit more of less of a horrifying impression. Armoured cars overall have also received a few changes there. Instead of just being the main gun, it's lost the AoE there. Instead, it's sort of been changed towards the machine gun, the cracks on machine guns, and that way it will be less sort of wipey. It will still be a bit more threatening, but you should actually have a chance to visit infantry now. So that should be a bit helpful, and particularly in the buildings now, you should be a bit more safer as well. So overall, that's a good thing, really. It means cover is overall more useful against us. That's a small plus, not a huge one. And then they also changed sort of the artillery doctrine to artillery call-in. Basically, it shoots a bit less now when you just directly ordered to call in. Apparently that's all there is really though to it. There were some other things I talked about, but apparently they're not quite ready for the end, or they're going to get sort of snuck in. Like occasionally, Orelik always seems to just somehow throw something in there they hadn't actually mentioned, so who knows. For the Americans, Calliope shoots less rockets, also can't be decrewed, so people can't just, fumble about, quickly popping in and out, sort of manipulating the pop cap that way. That's basically sort of been locked down. They've been told, nein, das ist verboten, Herr Amerikaner, so knock that scheiße off, this is a war. So that's a small change there as well to the Americans. Wehrmacht, Panzerwerfer actually gets a bit nerfed at certain ranges with his artillery. It won't have quite as much impressive AoE, so it won't be quite as wipey. I'm not entirely sure on that, and I'm still surprised, for example, I haven't done anything about, say, the Sturmpanzer, which is rather rubbish, or anything to sort of make, going for a Panther less of a bad option. That would have been nice to hope for, somewhere down the road. Otherwise, the 222 gets more health now. And that's it. Nothing else. The 222 just becomes tougher. There's nothing for the 251, which could also have done with a health buff, or maybe just something a bit more from the machine gun, but go figure. And that's basically it. There's some map changes. Some being rotated out of Ultramatch, a bunch others are added in. So I suppose that should give us a bit more from particular in 1 versus 1. I think we're getting like 2 to 3 new maps. Could be interesting. Could be less interesting. We'll of course have to see how they actually work out. But let's try and be optimistic about it, shall we? Also, there's a slight change there, for example, to his skins. When you're using game, you can also disable, set it up, so for example, you only want to look at historical skins. So you don't, for example, have to look at the blood spatter stuff and all that. That's quite nice. I'm actually rather positive about that, so thumbs up here. And then there's a whole bunch of bug fixes, which actually includes something a bit interesting. Apparently, the Stormtroopers veterancy level was a bug, though. I recall discussing it with Relic at some point, one of their bands, I believe it was Peter, and he's like, is that a bit too high? Nope, that's intended. So all of a sudden being referred to as a bug, that's a bit, interesting. Though it might not have been Peter, could have been someone else. I'm just pretty confident I talked to someone at Relic about you going, I think the Stormtrooper veterans is a bit high. Nope, that's intended. Now it's a bug. So yeah, but also sort of slight bunch of changes. There's some actually interesting stuff there, but overall I can't really remember every single bug fix, but there's some interesting stuff, there's some helpful stuff, perhaps some less helpful stuff there. So, but overall, you know, not quite an impressive as patch as I hoped for. And of course, you also get the 2 new British commanders, which of course is a bit worrying. Not particularly looking forward to them. Of course, have to see what we'll do. Of course, I'll be making a video about those once they hit, with some possibilities and what you could do with them, what against them. So yeah, that's going to be hitting soon enough. But that should at least make the stormtroopers a bit more useful if they sort of get a bit more, you know, faster veterancy. Because I mean, veterancy fleet stormtroopers with the tactical assault, they do kick ass. Yes. So that really covers it. But I just want to get this out again. You know, figured people would want to know, get my perspective on it. Not the world's best patch, but less impressive AC. 2-2 that is less likely to burst into flames if the enemy stares at it in a slightly unpleasant manner is a plus, and I suppose I mean anything that helps the stormtroopers is also very much a plus in my big book of war. And of course more maps, historical skins, and Addendum stuff sort of working perhaps a bit more differently. Though personally I probably would have done it the other way around. Not that once abandoned they'll be critical, but for them to be abandoned they need to suffer some kind of critical, and for some of them to be immobilized there'd be a really high chance of them being abandoned, since that rather is how it worked in the war, unless the Americans, because the American tank crews were really skittish by the way, but otherwise generally tanks were only abandoned if they couldn't move, and the tank crew was pretty much going like, alright, we're gonna die here, Helmut, if we don't get out of here, so let's get out of here. It's a little fun one there. So I think that rather covers it. Hopefully this will sort of get people a bit more ready as to what's coming up here next week when it hits. And of course I'll be ready to cover and cast on games from the new patch. So hopefully it should all be interesting. And of course I imagine we'll be seeing a lot more 222s and hopefully some more stormtroopers. This is Imperial Lynching. Cheers. Hopefully this has been enlightening. And which in case it has, you know, remember to like it so more people can view it, get enlightened, and of course view the Propagandacast. Subscribe if you haven't already, and of course share with friends and family. This is Imperial Lynching. Cheers. Signing off, and see you all another time. Bye.